time is at hand for the black man and the black woman, for the Native American man and woman, for the so-called Hispanic man and woman to rise out this state, rise to their glory as the children of Israel. It's high time you wake up out of sleep and come back and serve your father and his son.
You sons and daughters of the slave trade, you are the children of Israel. And we showing it to you in the Bible, through the Spirit of Christ. Our people have to say what? Come back to this Bible. Read the Bible for yourself to get the understanding.
So black man, black woman, you being charged with the commandments of the Most High. Repent and seek ye the kingdom. Verse 9, verse 8.
Acts, the 21st chapter and the 8th verse. And the next day, we that were of Paul's company departed and came up to Caesarea. And we entered into the house of Philip the evangelist, which was one of the 7, and abode with him.
Right, so Philip, he was one of the 7 that was charged to take over the office of the widowhood, to make sure these women were taken care of, along with Stephen that you all may be familiar with in Acts the 8th chapter. Anyway, Acts the 7th chapter, I should say. Anyway, so we're going to read on.
Verse 9. And the same man,
Philip,
had 4 daughters, virgins, which did prophesy.
So this man, Philip, had 4 daughters which prophesied, which would go according to what we read in Joel 2, the same thing that Peter spoke about in Acts chapter 2. So let's see. What does it mean that these women prophesied? Let's go from that to Revelations. Remember, the Bible answers itself. Man does not have to answer the Bible. God will give his explanation in his word. So when you hear brothers teaching about women don't have a part, the Most High ain't dealing with them, that's not based on God's word. That's based on the figment of their imagination. Let's read Revelations chapter 19, and let's start with verse 10.
Revelations chapter 19, verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren, that have the testimony of Jesus. Worship God. For the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy.
So when you testify of Jesus, it is the spirit of prophecy. So when these young women testified, when these young women, these 4 virgins, prophesied, what do they prophesy about? Christ. Like many of us have testimonies on how we came into this truth. So the testimony of Jesus is a spirit of prophecy. Let's go from that. Let's go back to Acts. Acts chapter 19. We're going to give you an example of that testimony of Jesus is a spirit of prophecy coming from a woman. Acts 19, let's read verse 24. I'm wrong. Acts 18, verse 24.
Acts the 18th chapter and the 24th verse. And a certain Jew named Apollos, born at Alexandria, an eloquent man and mighty in the scriptures, came to Ephesus. This man was instructed in the way of the Lord, and being fervent in the spirit, he spake and taught diligently the things of the Lord, knowing only the baptism of John.
So this man was learned in this Bible, but all he came up in was the baptism of John. He has not received the baptism of Christ, which John said supersedes his baptism. Read on.
Verse 26. And he began to speak boldly in the synagogue, whom when Aquila and Priscilla had heard, they took him unto them, and expounded unto him the way of God more perfectly.
I want you to read verse 26 again.
Verse 26. And he began to speak boldly in the synagogue, whom when Aquila and Priscilla...
You understand, Aquila and Priscilla was a husband and wife. Read on.
Had heard, they took him unto them. They took him unto them.
Read on.
And expounded unto him the way of God more perfectly.
They made more clear what? The testimony of Jesus Christ is a spirit of prophecy. So what did Priscilla do in here? What did Aquila do? They gave their testimony. Like all of us, like I said before, Priscilla, like myself, like Brother Abio, we all have testimonies on how we repented, how we were born again.
we came in the truth.
How we came in truth. Does this mean that she superseded him and she started holding down a class? No. She just gave her testimony of what she'd been through and how she was converted. And it was helped to do what? To help bring him make him more perfect in the eyesight of the Most High. So let's go from that. Let's go from that to Micah. No, let's go from that to Numbers. Oh no, Micah. Let's go with Micah. Micah, the 6th chapter. It will be Micah chapter 6, verse 4.
Micah chapter 6, verse 4. For I brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
He brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
And redeemed thee out of the house of servants. And I sent before them Moses, Aaron, and Miriam.
He said, I sent before them Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. Miriam was also sent to what? Help deliver the children of Israel. So how is the Most High not dealing with women's spirit? That's untrue. That's not biblical. That's not biblically correct. Of course the Most High is dealing with women's spirit. But we have to understand, Miriam also had to know her place.
Right.
She had to know her place. And we're going to read about that she was out of order, and the Most High dealt with her. But to say that the Most High is not dealing with women, that's untrue. Let's explain what happened to Miriam. Numbers chapter 12. Numbers 12, verse 1 and 2.
Numbers, the 12th chapter, in the 1st verse. And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. And they said, hath the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses?
And they said, who said? Miriam and Aaron said what?
Hath the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses?
They said, listen, the Lord is only dealing with you, Moses. Read on.
Hath he not spoken also by us? And the Lord heard it.
Right. So now both of them are saying, Miriam and Aaron, the Lord has spoken by us also, Moses. Read on.
Verse 3. Now the man Moses was very meek, above all the men which are upon the face of the earth. And the Lord spake suddenly unto Moses, and unto Aaron, and unto Miriam, come out ye three unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. And the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud, and stood in the door of the tabernacle, and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth.
But now he called all three of them out, and he said, Miriam, Aaron, come forth. I want to deal with you. Read on.
Verse 6. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I the Lord will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream.
Right, that's how he speaks to prophets. Read on.
My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house.
He said Moses ain't like that. He said he's faithful. Read on.
Verse 8. With him will I speak mouth to mouth.
He said, I'm not going to speak to him in a dream. I'm not going to let Moses go into a dream state and explain to him what I want to know. He said, I'm going to speak to him mouth to mouth. Meaning what? I'm going to speak to him when he's conscious, when he's awake. Read on.
Even apparently, and not in dark speeches. And the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then, were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
He said, weren't you afraid to speak against Moses, knowing I speak to him mouth to mouth? You know he ain't no average prophet. He ain't regular. I'm talking to him. Read on.
Verse 9. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against them.
Against who?
Them.
Them. Aaron and Miriam. The Lord was angry with them. But what happened?
And he departed. Verse 10. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle. And behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow.
Now he was angry with them. But who did he curse? He cursed Miriam. Let's see why. Read on.
And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moses, Alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned.
Well, we have sinned, and we've done foolishly. Read on.
Let her not be as one dead.
He said, don't let her be as one who's dead. No pigmentation in her skin. white. Read on.
Of whom the flesh is half consumed when he cometh out of his mother's womb. And Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, Heal her now, O God, I beseech thee. And the Lord said unto Moses, If her father had but spit in her face.
The Lord said to Moses, listen, if her father would have spit in her face, read on.
Should she not be ashamed 7 days?
He said if her father would have corrected and taught her her place, then she wouldn't be ashamed 7 days, meaning with this curse. So even though Most High was dealing with Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, she still needs to know her place when she's dealing with the prophets of Most High. And that goes for you sisters in this truth. Still know how to deal with men that's in these commandments. You can't talk to them in any kind of way. As much as understanding you might think you have, many of you speak evil. It's not of the Most High. That's what you're saying?
No.
Okay, read on.
Verse 15? Verse 14.
Right.
And the Lord said unto Moses, If her father had but spit in her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be shut out of the camp 7 days.
Right, he said, no, okay, she has to be put out the camp for 7 days because he cursed her. Let's go from that to 1 Peter's. So we're showing that Most High is dealing with the woman, but the woman also must know her place. All right? 1 Peter's.
It's called order.
Right.
Most High is about order.
Exactly. 1 Peter chapter 3, let's read verse 5.
1 Peter chapter 3, verse 5. For after this manner in the old time the holy women also, who trusted in God, adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well, and are not afraid with any amazement.
Right, it says that after these manner, also in old time, the holy women also who trusted in God adorned themselves of what? The commandments. They abided. They understood the flock of the Most High passions of men. They knew the Most High, the congregation was going to be led by men. They understood that. It says, being in subjection to their own husband. Like many sisters today don't want to be in subjection. Even yours that call yourself Israelites, you still got problem. You don't want to listen. He's like, listen, don't get on the Facebook. I don't want you speaking to this person. Why? 10,000 reasons why. It says you got to be subjection to your husband. It says, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. How many sisters call your husband Lord? It says, whose daughters ye are, you are a daughter of Sarah, as long as you do well. As long as you do well, you are a daughter of Sarah. Let's see what happens. Let's go from that. Let's see an example of the daughter of Sarah. Let's go to the book of Judith and the Apocrypha. Now, for those that are first watching, the Apocrypha is part of the King James Bible that was taken out in the 1800s by the Protestants. Okay? The original 1611 Bible had these books in it. Let's go to the book of Judith, chapter 8. And I want to read verse 1.